Hi, I'm Tom, and I've always had a passion for cheap, fast sailing boats and making them better. This is my 2007 foiling Moth that I recently purchased off Facebook Marketplace for just $100. In this series, we're going to finish off the boat, get it out on the water, and then find out how fast you can go, how much fun you can have, and if you're even competitive on a boat that costs just $100. Alright, so it's Friday night, back into the Moth project again. Thanks to everyone that watched that last video. It's amazing how many people were interested in that Vang setup. Yeah, really good to see all the comments. The depth of the comments I'm getting is like really cool. Like, people have all these interesting ideas that I never would have thought of. And yeah, it's awesome to see like a whole bunch of like-minded people sort of gathering under the videos and talking about stuff. So yeah, really like to see it. So during the week, I've got my old CST mast back from my friend who I had it sitting in his shed, and as I suspected, this one fits perfectly. So for whatever reason, this didn't fit in my other boat, so the C-Tech rig can stay with that, and yeah, this mast can go with this boat. And the next challenge is making some spreaders that work. So I had these on my old boat as well, so they're just some Mach 2 factory seconds I bought a couple of years ago. Super light, so I'd really like to be able to use these again. But you remember, like my old boat and most other boats, the mast was about probably there, not here, and the wings used to be like there and lower, not way back there and up high. So these spreaders are going to be way too short. So now I've got to figure out exactly how much longer they need to be and how I'm going to do it. So I've had a fair bit of advice from a few people about this, particularly Bugs from Avalon Sails, who made my sail, and Luca from Damic Design, who makes the Swift Moth. Both of them are gurus. So basically I've got, this is kind of Bugs' idea, to have the mast up without the stays connected to the spreaders, and then I've got quite a lot of mast rake on relative to where you'd normally have it, so it's almost in line with the stump. And then he reckons you need to have the tips of the spreaders going about 50 mil beyond the straight line of the stays in this configuration. So as you can see up there, I'm way off. I need to get out to about here and come back about that much. So I'm just going to try and record those measurements and then figure out what I can do to these to do sort of exactly that. And then he also thinks on the forward prodder, you basically need to have it in this situation with a lot of rake for this test, just touching the forestay, which is what I've got. So I'm okay there. Just need to bring these out and back, and then I need to find a way to measure what that out and back actually is. Saturday night now, and I've quickly made up some temporary like little 3D printed spreader ends just to check the measurements I took last night are actually kind of close to right before I go and start doing stuff with carbon. So as you can see, the plan is to just slide them on the spreader tips, and then I'll just tape them on to make sure they don't fall off, whack the spreaders on the mast that's still up, and check that looks right. And when I say I made these quickly, these are version number 5, so let's hope these ones fit. So it's quite hard to tell, but I think that looks kind of right. We'll have to see how the rake looks with the rig up and everything. This is a different set of stays, because it's a different mast, different spreaders, everything. So I think it's pretty good. Obviously the prodder's not quite there. Okay, so I'm back. It's been a couple of interesting weeks. You might notice that this tent, although it looks the same, is actually a different one. So I've been sick as, like most people in Melbourne for the past couple of weeks, just totally flattened. So there's been almost no progress on any of this. But it was last Saturday, we had this like 30 knot nor'west to come through, and picked up the whole tent and threw it over the fence and broke it in half. So I've basically got another one for $120, and now I've salvaged some of my walls out of the old one and bought a couple more. And now the whole thing's tied down with 3mm double braid rope down to a bunch of tent pegs. So I'm hoping it won't go anywhere this time. So yeah, now we can get back into the Moth project. So after my last sanding attempt on the trimaran, everyone in the comments and stuff kept telling me that I shouldn't be sanding that larger area with a multi-tool because it took me forever, as you'll remember, and that I should invest in an orbital sander. So I've ended up getting the second cheapest sander from Bunnings, which I hope comes in handy. I did have a subscriber offer to send me one, but I just couldn't line it up in time, and I sort of really need it to get into this project. So yeah, got the Ryobi. I think it's 50 watts more than the cheaper Zito one, and yeah, I just thought the reviews on this were way better than on the cheaper one, so for once I spent the money and got something slightly better. And then I'm just going to go in with the 80 grit Diablo sanding pads. They've worked well for me on the multi-tool as well, so hopefully that's a good brand and it kind of works. We're running out of time though because it's like 20 to 8 on a Monday, and you can't make that much noise after like 8 o'clock. So I really just want to have a crack and see what I'm up for, really. And then after that, we'll move on to the next thing that's not as noisy. So I probably haven't actually mentioned why I'm sanding the boat. There was nothing really wrong with Phil's paint job before. It just needed a bit of a wet and dry to finish it off. But I really like my boats to be brightly coloured. And in particular, I decided I liked the red that my old boat was painted. So that's kind of the direction we're going. It's a nice colour and white stickers look good on it, so it's simple. And yeah, then I'll have a nice bright boat that I can admire on the beach. Okay, so it's Tuesday night now. Got a bit of power sanding done last night, but it's incredibly dusty. So I'm going to try and find a way to connect the vacuum cleaner to the sander for tomorrow. So tonight I thought I'll make up these ends for the spreader extensions, but I'll do it properly. So I'm going to use this. I made this little 3D printed jig, which sets the 17-degree angle between the trailing edge of the old spreader that you saw me measure with my phone a bit earlier, and the angle that the new one is going to go off at. So hopefully it works. We'll see. And then I'm going to glue on this bit of protruded carbon rod, which is completely solid. And then that'll go off sort of like that. And then I've got this bit of roll wrapped carbon tube as well from the same place, and then that'll go in there like so. And then I can probably just make up a little bush or something just to take some slop out of it, or just bolt it on. So yeah, let's get into it. So as you can see, I was struggling a bit here with this hacksaw I found in my in-laws garage. So eventually I just grabbed whatever power tool I had handy, and my cheap jigsaw got the job done. I don't think you meant to chop carbon with a jigsaw, but it did work, and then I just sanded it flat with my little longboard thing I got in the Trimaran series. So here I'm just figuring out how long to make that bit of protruded carbon rod that's going to get laminated onto the end of the spreaders. Obviously it's a bit of a balancing act between making it long enough to sort of spread the load out and not making it too long so that the spreaders can't be shortened as far as they'll need to be. So to laminate these on, I marked where I wanted the rod to sort of end up, and then I got my super glue and just kind of spot welded it in place like I did with that strut I put on the boom. Then I got my questionable Norglass epoxy. As you can see, that harden's not too flash, it's pretty old, but it still seems to work. And then I whacked some glue powder into it, made sure I taped up the part where the tube needs to sit, and I just put some nice fillets on there. Okay, so Wednesday night now, back out in the gazebo. It's going to be freezing tonight, get down to like 2 degrees, so yeah, try and make some progress. Luckily I'm out here early so I can make some noise for a while. So first thing I want to do is try and connect the end of the vacuum cleaner to the end of the sander. And obviously they're not quite the right fit. So I've been doing some research on YouTube, and it looks like if I use one of these hose adapter clamp things, put that on here, do that up nice and tight, we'll see how we go. Then the other end should go on the sander, and hopefully things will just work. There we go, look at that. Perfect. I also found these 3M masks at Bunnings that say they're for sanding and fiberglass. So I'll give them a go because I'm so sick of smelling dust when I'm doing this. So maybe they're better than the other ones I've been using. 3M stuff's normally pretty good, so we'll see. So having that vacuum cleaner connected to the sander did make such a difference. Combined with those 3M masks, and then I also got myself a cheap pair of goggles that actually sealed on my face. So I had a lot less fogging issues, and as you can see, it's not just a white cloud of dust. So it felt like it actually sanded better because you're probably not sanding over just dust. And it was just a lot more pleasant. So yeah, highly recommended for the $9 fitting to connect the sander to the vacuum. It's the best money you can spend. So I did just want to do some sort of light laminating over those rods where they connect to the spreaders. So after I mixed up some epoxy, I just got a very small offcut of carbon and wrapped that around. And then I kind of used this fiberglass tape I found in my toolbox, a bit like sticky tape, and I just wrapped it around and around and around. Then I got my blue insulation tape and sort of wrapped that around it on top of the peel ply just to kind of compress the laminate all into place. And yeah, it turned out pretty good. So I was happy with that. Wouldn't normally use fiberglass, but it was such lightweight cloth that it seemed to, sort of sit very nicely for this application. Right, so it's Thursday night now, freezing again. Tonight I'm going to finish off these spreaders. We'll have a look at how last night's work came up. I've had it under the heater for a couple of hours, so hopefully it's definitely cured. Like, it's been a day, but it's been absolutely freezing. It was like 1 degree overnight, and I think it only got to about 13 today. So lucky I used a fast hardener, but yeah, we'll peel this tape off and see how it went. Okay, so pretty happy with how those spreaders turned out. Particularly that one, that's pretty nice. This one, I think I had a bit of a dry spot on the outboard end. So when I've got some resin mixed up in a second, I'll just wet that out a bit more and yeah, salvage that one. And then I've got my bit of tube here, which slides straight on. It's a little bit sloppy, and I'm still experimenting with 3D printing some bushes that'll slide on this part of tube, and then that'll sort of tighten that up. But it's really hard because they're so skinny. So I'm going to try and do it without support material on the outsides because they break whenever you try and sort of do anything with them. Otherwise I might just have to laminate some fiberglass around it and then sand it down to suit. So this next step is one I've been really looking forward to trying and seeing if it works. So obviously I can't just run the dyneema for the stays straight into the end of the tube like this because it's going to cut through in like 2 seconds flat. So it'll break both the dyneema and the tube. So I need some kind of custom spreader end that can go in there that's got the right radius for my piece of dyneema for my stays. So what I did is I drew it up on the computer, and then I've 3D printed these little molds that are like a 2-piece mold, and then they're going to go together. And then I'm just going to fill that with epoxy and maybe chopped up bits of carbon or something just to give it some strength, and then let that set overnight and we'll see if it works. Either way, it'll be an interesting experiment. So I wasn't sure what to use as kind of a mold release in this situation. I figured I'll give the Sally's Easy Glide a go because I already had it. And it seemed like the easiest option. So this is kind of similar to a technique me and my brother have tried before with some success, where you make forged carbon parts by 3D printing molds, and then there's kind of like a piston that goes in to put pressure on the carbon and resin and squish it into the right shape. But this isn't really a forged part because there's no piston involved. I'm just pouring resin and chopped up bits of whatever I can find into the mold and then letting it all sit. But unfortunately, I thought I was being a bit clever and putting the heater on it so that it would definitely kick off and start to dry. But obviously that gave me issues. Okay, Friday night now. I'm going to pull these parts that I made last night out of the mold. I'm a bit worried that I got them a bit hot, particularly this one. So I'm not sure if they're actually going to be usable or if I have to make another set. So first steps to get them out of the vise. As you can see, they did get too hot while they were curing and the epoxy kind of failed, so they just shatter. I'm thinking, why am I stuffing around trying to make resin carbon spreader tips when the plastic that I'm making the prints out of, because this is PETG, not PLA, is so like tough that I reckon I can just 3D print the tips and do it as like a solid infill, and I'll just screw them in, and if they work, they work. If not, I'll then try and make proper ones again. But this seems like a lot of effort for no gain, so I think I'll just 3D print the finished part and see how that turns out. In the meantime, we'll get back into the sanding marathon. So let's have another sanding montage, and hopefully tomorrow I can get into some painting. So I was making awesome progress. I just I'd finished one wing, or up to the detailing, and then I was powering through this one. Then all I had to do was like finish that, and then I could swap onto the other side of the boat, which just has a little bit more left to go. And then the stupid vacuum cleaner packed up. So I don't know why. I'd literally just sort of cleaned out the filter, put a new bag in it, got another 10 minutes out of it, and then it was just like, and I've tried multiple power points. I don't know. Might have to go to Bunnings and grab another one tomorrow. Yeah, it's annoying. I thought I'd quickly just whack some bog on these little dents I'd made with the sander, just so that was done. That was a pretty quick job, but yeah, I thought it was worth doing at this stage before I started painting. Okay, Saturday morning, just been to Bunnings, picked up another vacuum. I had to get the next size up because they didn't have any of the small one. So hopefully I can just make that work with my sander. And yeah, we'll try and finish this wing, finish off the other side of the hull. I've got to do the transom, and might just get the multi-tool out just to do the little corners and stuff where I haven't been yet, and then give it a nice clean, and yeah, hopefully get into some painting while the weather's good. It's quite warm today, so yeah, really lucky. So as you can see, this vacuum cleaner's got a 3-year warranty for DIY use, and this time I remembered to put the receipt in the Bunnings app in my phone. So if this dies in the next 3 years while I'm using it for DIY use, someone please remind me that I have saved the receipt so I can take it back to get another one. Here I did actually make a decent effort to clean everything down. I started with a damp rag, then I did a dry rag, then I used that wax and grease remover you can see sitting there. I'd kind of researched painting a fair bit online, and I've combined kind of all these random ideas I picked up off different people. I did go with the Norglass ship shape sort of 2-pack paint as the undercoat, mainly because that's what Norglass said to use. I unfortunately ended up with the wrong thinners. I thought I bought the right ones, but they could just be kicking around in the back of the Commodore somewhere and I can't find it. So I just used the ones for the top coat, which is a brushing thinner as opposed to an epoxy thinner. And it did seem to work a lot better than when I used this similar sort of product on my trimaran without thinners. So yeah, I think I am slowly getting better at painting. Okay, so I got my first undercoat on. Went really light on it, just so I didn't get any runs. So it's a little bit kind of orange peely, and yeah, it'll come up alright. Whack the second coat on it tomorrow. I did miss a few spots there. I've run out of time to detail it because I've got to go now, so we'll get them tomorrow. But yeah, definitely looking half decent. Okay, so it's Sunday lunchtime now. I've given this the minimum of 16 hours that it says it needs to dry before you can recoat it. So yeah, I'll just whack the second coat on. Pretty happy with how it's looking so far. I reckon it'll look a lot better after a second coat. I'll mix up a little bit more paint than I did yesterday. I think yesterday it was like 180 mil of paint and 60 mil of hardener, so I might just go a little bit more this time. And it seemed to work well with that thinners, so I think I've got away with yeah, having the wrong one. Yeah, let's get into it, and then I can go out and yeah, keep finishing this video. So here I wasn't quite sure what type of roller to use, because I've never really used this kind of roller on a boat before. The Norglass website in the tips section's got a thing about how to paint fiberglass surfaces with their products, and it says to use a short nap roller. So I just got this like microfiber one that's like a 4mm nap, I think, and yeah, it seemed to work relatively well. Alright, so that went pretty well. Interesting, I used more paint than I did yesterday by quite a lot. Like I ran out again towards the back, so I think tomorrow night I might just give this a bit of a sand. Then there's a few little tiny spots I just want to fill where I've sanded too far and stuff. So I'll do that. Then I think one more coat of undercoat, and then I'll be right to get into the top coat. But yeah, it's definitely turned out better than my trimaran painting did. So yeah, happy with that. I also did make those spreader tips I was talking about last night. So that's them. I've got my nice, I think I made that a 5mm radius so that the Dyneema will definitely sit in there nice and comfy. And my thinking is I'll drill out that hole so I have something to lash onto to hold the Dyneema up against the spreader end. And then this larger hole will be the bolt that goes through the tube and this so that it stays in place. But I went 100% infill, and that's on PETG plastic. So it's pretty solid. So I reckon it'll be okay. It's definitely worth a shot. So yeah, in the next video we'll install those. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's where we're up to as of Sunday. Sorry about the delay in videos, but I think you understand since my shed blew away and I was sick. So yeah, we're back into it. And yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and send it to any friends you think might be interested. It's been so good to see the growth in the channel, and that people seem to be enjoying it. I think I saw one guy said that these are like the highlight of his week somehow. So yeah, that's awesome. It's a lot of work for me, but yeah, I'm really glad people appreciate it. So yeah, thanks for watching.